Welcome to Tameside Bossing It. Today in the office, I've got Danny Birch from Birch Tattoo. Danny, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
So we've just been touching on my editing skills and my podcasts so far, and we're going to try something new with yours. So we're recording your audio independent with the video. So we'll just have to see how yours comes out.
Does this anticipate that I'm going to make mistakes?
No, that's all. We're just going to see what happens. So yeah, fingers crossed it'll work. So I know that you've seen a couple of the ones that I've already done. So I'm going to try and stick to the same sort of format. So although you are Danny Birch Tattoo now, obviously you didn't start that way. So if you're comfortable with it, I want to take you back all the way from leaving school and what you did from that point, and just talk us a few years into that to start with.
Yeah, I think it's necessary to go right back, because what I hope to do with this podcast is to inspire people who've got a natural gift or ability that they don't know what to do with, to actually nurture it and develop it and turn it into a profession.
Okay.
Especially if it's something in the creative industries, if you can draw,
Yeah.
because the chances are a lot of people around you are not going to know what to do with that. That's what it was like with me. People just shrugged and were like, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe be an architect. That's all I ever heard as a kid. So
Because you can draw, so you just assume.
So
Okay.
it's important that we go back to the beginning.
Okay. So you've left school.
The beginning, mate, was when I was 5,
Okay.
4 or 5.
Let's go. Let's go.
So my grandma used to cut up cereal boxes and give us a box of pens. So we had loads of stuff to draw on at weekends when the parents went out and soul dancing.
All right.
And I found myself, instead of colouring books, I found myself copying the pictures from the colouring books onto the cutout cereal box.
Okay.
And then my cousin would colour them in. And as it happens, all these years later, it's kind of what I do now. I'm just replicating pictures that I see.
Yeah.
But it's on skin this time. So it started back then, and it was quite apparent that I had a natural gift for drawing. I could just draw. And yeah, my grandparents were really, really good at nurturing that, my 2 grandmas. One of them would give me the facilities to just sit and draw all day, and there was not much else to do back then. There wasn't even PlayStations back then. There was nothing.
How old are you, Danny?
I'm 41 now.
Right. Okay.
So she used to shove me in the basement that was like 4 foot high, and I'd crouch in and I'd sit there and I'd just draw all day. And then my other grandma, really sweet she was, she'd take me to all the allotment shows locally in Duckingfield. There's one there near Allstate School. And I'd clean up. I'd win all the first place rosettes.
Right.
All the old ladies drawing pictures of flowers, and I'm there drawing flaming hot rods and stuff. So, but with perspective, and maybe someone sat in the driver's seat, and they're impressive. So I was winning awards. I was being rewarded for the drawing, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I thrived doing it. And there wasn't much else other than playing out in the 90s that I really loved doing. Just stamp and drawing.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started.
Because in the 90s, all we had was the green at the top of the street, wasn't it? That's all we had.
Yeah. Fortunately, I lived next door to Lakes Road.
Right. Okay.
School. It was a teacher training school at the time. So I had a huge playground.
Yeah.
The army, sticks, bikes, and all that stuff. But if ever there was a moment I was in, I was drawing.
Okay. And so you mentioned there that you were doing it off the back of cereal boxes and you're copying it. So at what point did it change from copying something to creating something from your imagination?
I was never really that good at just creating stuff from my imagination. I just loved drawing things, so just drawing objects. I had a lot of model cars at the time. 1/18 scale die-cast sort of cars. All the supercars of that era, the Lamborghini Diablos and the Ferrari F40s and stuff. So I used to draw them. But I was never into drawing them side on like everyone else would. I'd always put them on an angle.
Right.
So I already had this awareness, which was just natural to me to do things just slightly different, to just turn it up a little bit.
So I know nothing about drawing. I can just about draw a stick man. So when you say that you are doing it from an angle, just so that I kind of understand it, if you're drawing it side on, I feel like that's a 2D version. And then as soon as you turn that to an angle, you're drawing that from an angle. Does that automatically almost become a 3D?
Yeah, if it becomes 3D, you've got to take into account perspective.
Right.
I remember one of the lessons in high school was all about perspective. You would draw like a street of houses.
Yes.
But instead of it being just straight on, with the square windows and the door and a plant pot next to it.
Because we used to use the ruler, right? To get all the
Really, on the point of perspective, which is the furthest point, and everything led to that. But at an early age, I'm guessing because of these die-cast models that I had, I put them down and that's how it looked. So that's how I'm making it look on the page.
Okay.
I wasn't always getting it bang on, but I think the effort was there. It was rewarded. Now, there was something that happened in primary school that was really interesting. It was actually one of the first times that I was discouraged, and it was by the education system. The first of a couple of times that this happened, actually. My parents got called in. I must have been 7 or 8. My parents got called into school because they needed to talk to me. So we all thought I was in trouble. I thought I was in trouble. We sat in the headmistress's office. They said, we need to talk to you about how long Daniel is taking to draw. He's taking too long. Which is bonkers. We couldn't believe it. Like, I thought I was in trouble for this.
Yeah.
And it just turns out that, we get 45 minutes to do some drawing, but I'm putting stuff on a perspective. I'm trying to add shading and this, that, the other to make it look as real as the thing that they're asking me to draw.
Yeah.
And then got in trouble, essentially, for taking too long to do so. That was the first mark in my subconscious that you shouldn't take too long. You're not doing this right. This is wrong.
So you're questioning whether that is the correct way of doing something.
Yeah. I was doing it my way.
Yeah.
I was being told it was wrong.
Okay.
So I can't remember what effect that had. I guess I had to speed up to get the grades or to get the assignment done or whatever it was.
Which in your mind, I am sure at that point that's not then as good as what you feel that you can do.
Not as good and not fulfilling either.
Yeah.
I drew because I loved it. And anyone out there that draws, it's because they love it, because they've been given a gift and they've been given something that feeds their soul when they're doing it. They get in a flow state like anyone in anything does, like a footballer would, or a race driver, or a cleaner. They get in a flow state while they're doing that thing. I'm in flow state doing my thing, and then I'm being told off for it.
Yeah.
So, and that stuck with me forever now. 41 now, and I'll never forget. I can remember being there. So it was a core memory. It was loved as a core memory there. And that came up when I started tattooing as well, and we'll get into that, how that kind of affected me. I don't want to skip too far ahead, but the next time that happened was GCSE.
Okay.
So I just drew for fun, playing as a kid. No one knew what to do with it other than just do it. Entered some local competitions, like I said, in the allotments, and then just went from there. But I studied art in high school. I was naturally stood out. I was one of those people that drove the teachers crazy because all I did was mess around. But they knew I was smashing it.
Okay.
Me and my friend Tommy, we got split up. We were at West Hill School. We got split up. We had to sit in opposite ends of the classroom.
Which is a boys' school, right?
Yeah. And we would still manage to catch each other's eye and piss ourselves laughing and distract everybody, but both got straight A's.
Right.
We were just both great at it. But there's something again that happened. And this is the limitations that get put on a lot of people who are creative, especially when it comes to grades or in later life when it comes to wages of being paid if you're employed. Is that it wasn't so much results based, it was just time. I was exchanging the time for my drawing.
Okay.
So the GCSE had to be done in 10 hours. There was already a limit on it. And I remember being so far into it, I was maybe a quarter of the way down this painting, and the head of year, who was the exam adjudicator, leaned over my shoulder and whispered in my ear. I think she had a thing for me, to be honest. She said, "That is so good that I would buy that and hang that in my house."
Wow.
She said, "But you've got 1 hour to finish it.
Yeah.
Hurry up." Unfortunately, they gave me an extra hour behind after school, so they gave me 11 hours.
Right.
But the thing was rushed, and as a result, it's folded up and it's still just shoved in a cupboard under my bed, a box under the bed.
It's almost like that. Have you ever seen that picture of a horse? And it's a picture of a horse, and the back end of the horse is done beautifully. It's done clearly by an artist. And then the front end of the horse genuinely looks like it's done by a child, a very young child. And the caption on it is something to do with the fact that your clients asked you if you can do it any cheaper. And it's like a representation of, well, yeah, I could do it cheaper, but it'll look like that. Or you can pay what it's worth and it'll look like the back end. And I suppose it's exactly the same principle, right? if you give me the time, I'll produce you something that's magnificent. But if you're rushing me, it's not going to be what it needs to be.
Yeah. In school, or the education system throughout, the reward is a grade, and you have to abide to their limitations to get that grade. And in real life, the reward is money for the time, and you have to adhere to the limitations that whoever's paying you, the cheap client, for example.
Yeah.
So those limitations that were placed on me time and time again, and then into college where they just made you do things that I was not interested in. Studying paintings and trying to figure out what the artist was feeling when they did it.
So what was the course that you did when you went to college?
It was an advanced AVCE art course.
Okay.
I just wanted to do nothing but art.
And what length, what was the duration of that course?
2 years, Ashton sixth form.
Okay.
And it covered all aspects of art, from designing clothing and making clothing, textiles, to fine art, to graphic design, pretty much everything under that banner.
Correct.
But like I said, the limitations where you've got to do their curriculum. It was never a case of, this kid is really good at this one thing. Let's let him do this for 2 years and excel in it. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
And if you want the grades, mate, you're going to have to do all these things. Now, with a lot of people who are artistic, potentially autistic, they want to lock in on one thing and excel in that one thing. Turns out that drawing with pencils was or pencil crayons and fine detail was my thing.
Right.
But it might have been every 3 or 4 months I got the opportunity to do that because I was designing a CD case or I was designing a shirt or...
Were you not interested?
No, like I said, staring at a painting and trying to decide what the artist was feeling. I said, the guy probably didn't even know himself, who doesn't even know that his art is famous. Like, why are we doing this? Yeah. And he didn't compete with me, so I didn't do very well there. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't stimulated. So therefore, I failed it. I failed that course.
And did you stick at it for the 2 years though?
Stuck at it for the 2 years, dragged myself through it.
Okay.
It just so happened that Ashton Town Centre was popping off at that time.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't stimulated there, and the only promise that I was getting was, well, you'll get good grades and then you can take this on to even more of this in uni. It's like, that doesn't sound appealing to me whatsoever. Nobody's giving me any reason to stick this out. There's no motivation.
So you had no direction then, really?
No.
You knew that you had a talent, but you didn't know what to do with it?
No. And I think that's the case with a lot of people who can draw. It's no fault of parents or teachers that they would know how to go and make money to do that thing, other than follow the education system, keep going all the way up and see where you end up.
Yeah.
Who would know to pluck someone out of college and say, you'll be a tattooist?
Yeah.
Because I mean, back then it wasn't a glamorous thing to be a tattooist whatsoever. It was weed smoking, heavy metal, Harley outside sort of.
Yeah.
It was still attached to the sort of criminal sort of culture.
So we're at the back end of the 2 years at college. So I guess we're around 2003 at this point.
Yeah, I joined 2001. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But 2003, I basically got spat out the end of that and I had no idea what to do. I'd failed it. So let's go back to primary school. I'm taking too long and I'm not doing it right. There's not enough time and you're not going to get the grades if you don't finish in a certain time in high school. And now you're a failure at art. 3 major things that the education system implanted into someone who was clearly destined to be in an artistic career.
Yeah.
So then you come spat out the back of that, and I think you become a product of your environment then.
So you just mentioned the environment. You mentioned that Ashton was sort of popping off at that point.
Yeah.
And you weren't being stimulated from what you were doing at college. So you went and found that stimulation elsewhere.
Yeah. I also passed my driving test.
Okay.
I had myself a little Peugeot 205 that needed fuel in it. So I went into survival mode. How do I survive now out here? How do I afford to go and get a pound of pint, jabbers down the road? How do I afford fuel in my car? More than £1.50 that I've got in my pocket. So that's what I switched into. I did bar work, I did labouring, I did cash work, I got into in some circles with the wrong people to just try and make money and survive.
Okay.
Because the only thing that was stimulating me at the time then was just going out and having a good time.
So when you were doing that, were you drawing at all at that point?
No. I don't think I drew anything for the next 6-7 years.
Wow.
I don't think I touched anything. I don't have any draw. I've kept quite a lot of stuff.
Right.
In like a memory box, any sort of pivotal moments that where I did a drawing and won a competition, or I've still got a GCSE piece, and I don't have anything from that period now. Nothing at all.
So that must have been difficult from a mental health perspective back then, especially when nobody talked about it from a male perspective. You know, it's still a bit of a taboo now, isn't it, in terms of, you know, young male mental health. So what were you experiencing at that point in your life?
When I look back, let's speak for men because I am one. We need to feel significant, don't we? We need to feel like we matter. And when I was spat out the end of the education system, I felt like I didn't matter and I didn't have any relevance to anything. I had no skill. The skill that I did have had just been told that it was no good and I was a failure at it. So that's out. That's been shelved. So how do I become significant as a young man? Maybe get girls.
Yeah.
Maybe make money. So it just became about bouncing around the earth, trying to just figure that out. Working with agencies for a week. Don't like this, don't like this, don't like. Must have had 100 factory jobs. Must have had 100 bar jobs. I was just a feather in the wind, just trying to figure it out. But if you mention mental health, back then I wouldn't have even known what that meant.
No.
That was certainly, looking back now, in a really dark place. I turned to drink, drugs, partying just purely as an avoidance because I hated the position that I was in life. And then the snowball effect of that is if you're doing drink and a lot of drugs, you're not a very nice person.
Okay.
And then started to hate myself for quite a few years. Wasn't proud of myself, had no direction. Just didn't know what to do with myself, and what I was doing on a daily basis was pissing everybody off. I was a letdown to my parents. Because, you know, someone might think, well, where's your parents in all this? Listen, they were working class people. They had a mortgage. They had a job each, and they had to keep food on the table, the lights switched on, and a roof over their head.
Yeah.
It worked a lot. And if anything, I was a burden to them at the time because they wanted me to just try, please just go and figure it out. Please just go to college and figure it out. Please go to uni and just figure it out.
Because they don't know either, right?
No.
You know, if you've got people that are in education, and I don't necessarily think it's the education system's wrong. I don't think it's, you know, it wasn't any particular teacher that, you know, that didn't do right by you. I mean, you mentioned your teacher in your GCSE exam. She could clearly see that there was a talent there, but at the end of the day, they've got targets to hit, just like everybody else, right? So I think that's the system is not necessarily set up for someone like you. So if they don't know what to do, your parents certainly aren't going to have a clue. And so you've drifted around, and you're mid-20s at this point?
Yeah, early 20s, yeah.
Okay. And so what do we do from that point? You've not picked up a pencil in a few years. You're bouncing around various jobs in Tameside. Something must have changed. What changed at that point in your life?
So I was labouring at the time, 40 quid a day, just doing rip outs on, you know, when they flip houses and rent them out. You'll be familiar with that. Back to brick, every house, drill bars in the old ceilings and polypically on my head. So I was getting really stuck in. I lost my driving license through just not being insured, just being an idiot.
Right.
So I'm riding a mountain bike around Tameside, doing rip outs for 40 quid a day. I then got myself a weekend job in a bar in Stalybridge because Ashton had kind of collapsed on itself. So it moved over to Stalybridge.
So if anybody doesn't know, in terms of, so there was quite a number of stabbings and things like that, weren't they, in Ashton?
As I worked in here as a 16, 17, all that witnessed quite a lot of them. Yeah. And there was a murder just down at the end there in the subway, and I missed that by 10 minutes. And it was a random gang thing, I think. They're just looking for someone to kill so they could go jail, and I missed that by 10 minutes. I was 16.
Gosh.
At that point, the parents were like, you just don't go down there anymore. So yeah, I ended up moving over to Stalybridge. It was a bit safer. It was a bit, you know, they had dress codes back then. It was over 21, so it was just a much safer environment.
Okay.
work myself up through some of them bars at weekends just for some pocket money and free beer, and then labouring through the week. But there's something that I kept doing. The art started just emerging. So you've got a house, back to brick. You have half an hour for your lunch.
Yeah.
There's like this rocks lying about, there's pens lying around, and I've got just a blank wall there that nobody cares what I do to it. And occasionally I'd just come up with I remember once I drew like a full harbour with some ships in it.
Wow.
And the lads who were Rumans back then, they did come in at the end of the day. They're like, who the fuck's done that?
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I did it. Well, how long did that take? I said, yeah, probably a bit too long, to be honest. They're like,
Yeah.
we're a bit mad at you for not working, but what are you doing working here if you can draw like that?
Yeah.
So it kept emerging. And then in the bar that I was working in, I was just sketching on napkins because Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no one in there. So I just sit there sketching on napkins, drawing eyeballs and planes. And I'd started getting into tattoos at the time. I had one or two, so just little tattoo designs, just maybe that I would get. And remember when the smoking ban came in?
Yeah.
The bar that I was working in was Bar Liquid. And the smoking ban really hit Stalybridge at the time, especially the smaller places, because the supermarkets started doing cheap crates and people just thought, I can't even go out and smoke, so I'm just going to stay home. So the owner of the bar said, we need to do something. And he said, you keep drawing all over things. He said, do you want to draw on the walls, try and spruce you up a little bit? And my favourite place in Ashton years ago was Beach Bar.
Right.
And I thought, why don't we do a beach bar? Because everyone loved that. It was fun. So that's what I did. He shut for a week and I just got a lot of emotion from B&Q and just painted all the walls with palm trees and surfers and sunset colours and stuff. And then when people started drifting in, they thought, this is great. Who's done this? And I was just stood behind the bar. Me, I did it. So then someone asked me to paint their kid's bedroom.
Okay.
That's the moment where art came back into my life.
How old are we at this point?
21, 22.
Okay.
Yeah. And as well as the bar, I started drifting off through the week because we were closed in the day.
Right.
So I'd, get a box full of little tester pots from B&Q and I'd go and paint Disney princesses on kids' bedrooms.
Wow.
And this was pre or just as the recession kicked in.
Yeah.
It was like 07, 08.
Yeah.
People had money then. And I remember I got to the point where I was making 300 quid a week at the bar and I was working there from 7 till 4 in the morning. And I was making 900 quid a day, pay me kids' bedrooms. Now, at that point was where I felt truly rewarded for being able to paint. And not only the money was great. I got paid it and it made me safe. I could eat, put fuel back in my car. And I used to just put it in a safe and forget about it.
Yeah.
Because it was the fulfillment and the flow state and the reward that I loved more than anything.
But all of a sudden, you found that stimulant again, aren't you? You're stimulated from doing something that you love.
I remember I had an iPod and a little speaker.
The iPod.
Wow. A docking station. It's the car. And I had the same, 500 songs on it. And I'd have a room to myself in someone's house. They'd go to work and leave me there all day. I'd take my shoes off and I'd be in this room and I could just create all day. And not only could I sit and create and get into a flow state all day, listening to music that I wanted to listen to or podcast or whatever it was, when they came home, their face lit up because of what I'd done to transform their room for their kid. It had like this multi-level reward system that was happening. I was like, I've made an impact here with my art. And the reward system kicked in that I wasn't getting from education. There was no time limit. I was getting paid.
Yeah.
I had no one looking over my shoulder. There was no grade. There was nothing. It was like, we're happy. There's the money. Just do the best you can. Do you know what, Lee? Because of that, that's where someone can shine.
Yeah.
When you take the leash off. So many times I'd say, I'm just going to come back tomorrow and just do another couple of hours on that corner over there because I think it could be better. Or do you want me to pay more? No. I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do it. I want to make this the best thing I can.
So interestingly, in our house, so we live in a 3-story house and the stairs obviously all on the same space. And we got a guy to come in and we wanted a tree going from the bottom of the stairs all the way up to the top, and the kids are on the top floor. And so what we wanted was to go all the way to the top and then like a night sky. And this guy came and we were like, look, we want a tree from ground floor all the way up to the top, and then we want stars at the top. That's it. That's all we want. And he's like, well, what type of tree? Don't care. You do it. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, you just, whatever you think, because I know it's going to be amazing, you just do it. And he's like, that's amazing.
That's music to a creator's ears, that.
He loved it.
You got the best out of it there.
But
There's any limitations on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's incredible. And that's been in our house now for 4 years. And whenever the kids mess the wall up, the white part of the wall, I have to go around and try and really gently paint just that, because we want to keep the tree. It's incredible.
And those murals were great. They were a great feature. A lot of the time I was just doing sort of on-brand Disney stuff for the kids, and they grow out of things so quickly, won't they? But then the occasional one, I remember one of the first ones I ever did was a big house up on Mottram Road, and it was above the fireplace on that section of wall that I don't know what you'd call it, the chimney breast.
Yeah.
And it was just a really nice atmospheric, misty scene of a bridge with perspective in the middle going over and some trees up the side.
Wow.
And it completely transformed that house. It was still one of my favorite things that I ever did. It was nice being responsible for doing that and an effect, and knowing that they'd be sat in that living room staring at it, and that they valued me and they paid me well for it.
Yeah.
But then what happened was recession kicked in. That 900 quid for a 4-bedroom became 250.
Yeah.
So then the limitations come in again. So now I need to try and do an extra couple of days a week to try and afford the life that I want. Because now I maybe got a better car and I've been buying some nicer clothes. So then the pressure kicked in a little bit. So I was forced to just do some whitewashing in offices and stuff like that.
Right.
And
which isn't fulfilling, right? That's not going to stimulate.
Not at all, no.
Yeah.
Not at all. But there's so many times where I've had to take a strategic side step.
Yeah.
Let's call it, not a step backwards, to just survive. I'm no stranger to being put, in a corner, fighting my way out of it. So I just did that quite a few times. But then came tattooing.
Okay.
Because that happened at the same time.
And so how old are we at this point?
Same time, 22.
21, 22.
Early 22, yeah. I'm in the bar.
Yeah.
Wednesday nights were dead, but my pal Gary used to come and sit there with me before his shift at the airport. And he'd had an outline of a tattoo done. Because back then, you'd go to a tattoo shop, say, how much is that? They'd say 60 quid. So I've only got 30. So I'll outline it now. And then you'd come back when you've got the other 30 where you'll colour it in. So he had this outline for years, I think. Because he never budgeted for the rest. So I'm just sat there, pint of Stella in one hand and a biro pen in the other, and I just coloured his tattoo in for him. I can't remember the motivation for it, but I'd been given this little thing, like I'm sat in this bar that I made it all thinking. I'm kind of like buzzing. I just wanted to draw all the time. Let me draw on your hand then. And I'd got 1 or 2 tattoos myself. So I said, go on, the tattoo thing sort of sparked a bit of interest. So I colored it in. He went, that's all right, that. Should we buy a kit? So, yeah,
just a random, just from colouring his arm.
And he said, should we buy a kit? You can tell me.
Okay.
Practice on me. Because I was clearly good at it. I just needed to practice to use the equipment.
Yes.
And then I would be good at tattooing, just what people thought.
So we might come on to that later, but is there a vast difference between using a pen and using a needle?
Massive.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
There is a massive difference.
Okay.
Like, there is a huge difference. You almost become like an engineer or a machine operator and not an artist. Because you said before that I can only draw stickmen. You could make a living from tattooing stickmen if you could learn to use the equipment.
Right, okay.
And you don't have to be a good artist to be a good tattooist. So we went on eBay on the computer behind the desk of the bar.
Because there was no Amazon then?
No, there was none of that. There was just about eBay. And we found this.
So we're old, aren't we now?
I found an 80 quid suitcase, like a metal suitcase that was about this big, on eBay that had an entire kit in it. Now, for perspective, an entire kit is everything that I would need to perform a tattoo, from gloves to machines to needles to ink cups to the rack that the ink cups goes in, the inks itself, the alcohol wipes, the pen, everything. It was 80 quid, including the suitcase and shipping from China.
Wow.
The machine that I use at the moment, that is just one machine, is 1,200 quid. So just for perspective, you can imagine how shocking this kit was. It was, and it had 2 machines in it. Like 2 machines. So it arrives. Oh, this is so funny. We bought a DVD off eBay at the same time. How into tattoo deed in the early like 2000s.
Yeah.
And it was this guy in America. He'd basically set up a coil machine and said how we do it all, and he'd recorded it on a DVD from the VHS.
Right.
So this thing wouldn't fast forward, would only pause. It had no chapters. And we sat there in my living room with this suitcase, me, Gary, and this DVD on. And we watched 90 minutes of it, setting this thing up as we went, right? Okay, and we got to the point where I was like, right, this is how you line. It's like 90 minutes in. I said, I'm starving, mate. Should we get some lunch? And we paused it and we made some lunch. I don't know if you remember old DVD players. If you left them on pause for long enough,
Yeah, they turn off.
they turn off.
Yeah.
So we come back with lunch and it had gone off. So it was either
This is brilliant.
we now watch 90 minutes again of this guy who was super annoying,
Yeah.
or we just wing it. I said, I'm not watching 90 minutes of that again, mate. So get your leg out. So I got a biro pen. I drew a skull and crossbones from memory on his leg. And then we chopped him up, yeah. Just tattooed it. I soon realised.
Has he had that covered since?
I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't speak to him anymore. We did make a deal, like you get tattoos free for life.
Right.
And if you walked in today, it would get that.
Yeah.
I'd honour that, yeah. So he got this tattoo and I soon realised that it is not like just marking somebody. Like I'm doing something with this machine, hoping for a result. And when I wipe away, I'm not getting a result.
Right.
That went on for years because I then tried to go and get apprenticeships in the local area. And I was abruptly told, no. Oh, fuck off, if I'm going to be honest.
For what reason? Just because it didn't exist, or?
The tattoo industry back then, not so much now, was a very, very closed book.
Yes.
Everything was kept. It was very territorial. You had people burning shops down.
God.
And every shop I'd ever been in, where I've kind of asked, like, how are you doing that? Even if I was getting one, like, sorry, I just swear, but I'm quoting somebody, they would just say, fuck off, I'm not telling you. Why? Why are you being like that? So, because you'll just set your own shop close by. All right. So I thought that's how the industry was. And it was never a good experience. Like, it was always a terrible experience in the local area, like just being treated badly. I'm handing over my hard-earned money here for a tattoo and you're treating me terribly. Or numerous occasions showing up drunk or not showing up at all. The shop shut, you know, and I may have took a day off, or showing up and not giving me what I've asked for, thinking that you know better. And I'm like, this is not how it could be done. So even when I started tattooing Gary at all, I gave him more care and attention than I'd ever been given.
Right.
He's like, I think I want this. I'm like, all right, well, let's just like research it a little bit. Let's look a bit more into it. Let's print all these different references off. And what started happening there was all the stuff that I wanted to do in school, all the time I wanted to spend, all the research I wanted to do, all the care and attention I wanted to take on this piece of art, I was able to then do from day one on the tattoo. And I tell you something, there's no like sharper motivation than knowing that what you do cannot be rubbed off.
Yeah.
Everything you do is permanent. So I was really careful. It's just that a lot of the tattoos I did in the early, let's be honest and call it the first 5 years, were just technically terrible.
Right.
Intention was good. The references might have been good. The meaning behind it was good. But technically terrible. If you've not got a mentor in that.
And what was the reason? What was the main reason for that, do you think?
Just, I'm using a machine that I don't know how to use.
Right.
So for example, those old coil machines were like a vintage car.
Right.
They've got to be fine-tuned. And you could fine-tune them and then 10 minutes later, they might start knocking a different way or making a different noise. And you've got to know what to do to be able to fix that. And I didn't.
Yeah, okay.
There was no YouTube. There was no online resources.
I mean, it could have been at the back end of that 90-minute DVD. Probably would have never watched it.
I had the DVD, and the other thing they used to do was you had Miami Ink, and my dad had just got Sky Plus. So I used to put it on slow-mo Whenever there was
what you've been doing.
whenever there was like a B-roll footage moment of someone actually tattooing, connecting the skin,
Right.
I would pause it, take pictures of it on my digital camera, try and count how many needles were in it, try and look at the shade of blue they were using, how deep are they pushing it, what movements are they using with their hands. I'll put it on slow-mo. I was just trying to get information from wherever I could. All at the same time as trying to get apprenticeships. I wanted the apprenticeship because I was frustrated at the fact that I couldn't, I was guessing and I wanted to do a good result, but they were like literally when you wipe away, the ink that's left behind in the skin is your result. And it was never what I wanted. It was so inconsistent, especially I was using those cheap Chinese things.
Right.
Like they've got to throw the needle out consistently, but they would go, whack.
Right. Okay.
And they were just shocking, mate. So yeah, the results weren't good either.
Okay. So you're trying to find an apprenticeship, sorry. You're coming up with blockers at every turn. So what do you do?
I decided that I don't want someone else deciding my fate, my career. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I'm sick of being told no, so I'm just going to do it myself. Now, it was illegal to do that. To tattoo from home is illegal. It's unsanitary. You do it in your bedroom, it's unlicensed, it's uninsured. There's no third-party insurance, even if someone trips up on your stairs.
Yeah.
And it was unclean. It was unsanitary. I was literally in my bedroom doing it.
Right.
So, but what choice did I have? You can't get an apprenticeship and you've finally found something that you really want to do. I didn't want to let anyone else decide or anyone else to tell me no. Like I've had enough no's in this endeavor. I'm just going to do it. So I just pushed through. And with every pound that I earned, I invested it back into better equipment, better machines, did a bit more research, found there was people making custom machines that were miles better. But still learning, making mistakes, permanent mistakes, unfortunately, on a lot of people. Until a point where I decided that it was time I actually went and worked in a shop and surrounding myself with other people who were doing the same thing. Because I thought, if I can't find a mentor, at least I could find peers.
Yes.
That had either been through what I'm going through or were going through what I was going through. So I stopped lone wolfing it. And it was a courageous decision to actually put that on Facebook. Like, I'm tattooing now and I want a shop. Does anyone have any opportunities?
Yeah.
Because I was basically admitting that I didn't tattoo illegally at home.
Yeah.
And I knew I was risking basically.
Which would have been frowned upon, right?
Frowned upon. The authorities might have shown up. I had no idea what the punishment would have been for that. But I was like, I've got to take this step. I need to do it. So that's what I did. And someone who I went to school with had just come out of the army, had been doing the same thing in his barracks. He was opening a studio in Reddish at the same time.
All right.
So
Okay.
we invited me to go work up there. So that was the next step.
And how old are you at this point?
So I'd done a year, just a bit of a gap thing in Australia to go and just find myself, as they say, just to go and learn a few things and get a bit of a break from the bar culture, something to just break that pattern, because I was still heavily involved in going out and partying at the time.
When you went to Australia, did you do that on your own?
I went with my girlfriend at the time, but it didn't work out. So she came home, so I ended up spending most of the time there by myself, yeah.
Okay.
Just went through the ringer over there. I was on my own. I fell broke a few times and really found sort of personal development books to just fill my time reading on the beach, and just did a lot of personal development work and going to like business network breakfasts because I was lonely. I was by myself. I just needed to speak to people. So whatever opportunity I got, I would go and just talk to people.
So that must have took some balls to do that, though.
Oh, it's terrifying now. So the first 5 months, I was just on my own. I didn't speak to anyone because I wasn't half as outgoing as I am now, like us.
But it must have worked, though, right?
Absolutely.
What did you get from that? So when you went to these networking events, when you went and you spoke to people and you picked up a book and you read a book about whatever it may have been, well, how did that impact you? How did that impact your mental health perspective from that side?
Well, I got over fear.
Okay.
I learned how to conquer fear, and that like really good things sit on the other side of it. Real world, that looks like I was invited. Real world, this looks like I was in a queue for a buffet at a charity event that I donated a mural to.
Right.
And I'm sat there, not talking to anyone, stood there in the queue, not talking to anyone. And there was a guy behind me. The book I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Taught you how to have conversations with people and how to make them like you. I was like, this is what I need. So I read it. And I thought, there's a guy behind me. This is an opportunity now. I need to just do it. So I took a breath, turned around, stuck my hand out. I was, hi, mate, Danny, nice to meet you. And then he invited me to a business breakfast a few mornings after at 5 a.m. I was sat on a table with 10 millionaires. I had to stood up and do a one-minute presentation, which I'd never done before. I was sweating, I was juddering, I was jittering. But being over there in such an extreme way, I took myself over there, didn't have a lot of money. I got to make this work. So, well, I need to make this presentation work. I need to speak to this guy behind me because if not, I'm going to fail and go home. And I don't want to. I want to make this work. So I just pushed my limitations far beyond what I thought I was capable of in so many different ways. Socially, working, I was working 4 a.m. till 5 p.m. whitewashing things, quick sleep in the car, and then murals in like play centres until midnight, and back up again at 4. I really forced. I was so stubborn in being a success out there and not giving up and coming home. That, yeah, it pushed me through a lot of boundaries. And I thought at the very end of that, when I decided it is time to go home now, if I can achieve this here, because I'd landed some big jobs. Tattooing kind of fell away because no one wanted to hire a scratcher, as they were called, in a tattoo shop that's not even got a full visa.
Right.
I thought, if I can make this work out here and I don't know anybody, imagine what I can do when I go home and I know everybody. Because being on the bar scene, I had a huge circle. And Facebook back then was more social than it is.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot of complaining and the algorithms and stuff. None of that existed.
It was what it was designed for back then, wasn't it? Which was reconnecting people, reconnecting old friends and what have you. So
it was a very positive place back then. Like, you put out that you can put a status on, you get 100 comments. Yeah. Not so much negative either. We're just like, oh yeah, that was me as well. So
what was the defining moment when you were in Australia that you thought, right, I need to go home?
I landed. So for context, I hit rock bottom a couple of times out there. One to the point where I ended up waking up in the middle of the night full of hives. I had a stress-induced rash because I had no money, zero. I was in this apartment that was $350 a week. I had zero money. I had a check that wasn't going to clear for 6 weeks for painting the offices. I had no food. I had nothing. I just had this How to Win Friends and Influence book that I was sat trying to read, but I couldn't even see it because my eyes were all swollen up with this stress rash. And when I moved in that apartment, there was 1 can of cannellini beans left in the cupboard. And I remember joking to someone who helped me move in. I said, should we eat them? I ate them. Gosh, I ate them. They were like 3 years out of date, but I ate them. And I rationed them for 3 days as well. I was broke, but I didn't tell anyone I was broke. I didn't email my mum until I was broke. I was like, I'm going to pull myself out of this.
Is that just from a pride perspective, do you think?
I've just got no quit in me anymore.
Okay.
I think I was just another natural gift I was born with. Like, I just won't quit. And I was like, I'm not quitting, because quitting was £1,000 and a flight home.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy to quit. It was just hard to quit and go home.
That it was to stick it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got this thing where I think if I'm having a problem, then there's a solution.
Okay.
There's a solution to this somewhere. And no one's coming to save me because I'm all the way on the other side of the world. I don't know anybody here. So guess who's going to pull me out of it? Me. That's exactly what I did. I just dragged myself right through it. And I believe in godly. And when I was there, at the lowest point, literally having to maybe just walk out of this lease, I had like 900 quid deposit for me. I thought, I've got to try and work this out. I need that 900 quid. I ended up getting it. I just went in, covered in a rash, and said I need help. So they gave me, but a friend of mine rang me over there. It was actually from here. Mate, his name's Danny Birch. Can you believe that?
Right.
And someone had connected me. He's from Ashton. And he said, I've just been in a play centre that's new with my kid. It's massive. All the walls are white. It's the most uninspiring place I've ever heard of.
Right.
So with a rash, I took her up, and a 6x4 portfolio of photographs. But with this newfound confidence that I got from going to these business breakfasts, I was like, I can speak to anyone no matter what. I'm going to go in here. I walked in and I said, I think you're losing a lot of money by having boring white walls. I said, I've got an idea. This is how much I need to do it. But I said, if you give me a couple of months, I'll completely transform this place and it's going to 10x your revenue. And they'd inherited some money, bought this business. So they had quite a lot of money behind them. And then they were pretty clueless as well. And they just went for it.
Okay.
So at the point where I was at my lowest and I decided not to quit, God came along and went, there you go, mate, there's your reward. So for the next 2 to 3 months, I was earning $200 a day, paid in that place, got paid weekly, got out of that apartment, cleared the rash up. But the defining moment that made me come home was my visa ran out for one, but I landed a mural job a couple of towns up. You know, like as you drive into a town and it's got a lot of history, they might have a big wall as you drive in.
Yeah.
They wanted a huge mural down that wall and I quoted them 45 grand. But I said, the time that's going to take me, by the time I get there, my visa's going to run out.
Right.
Do you think, because it was a government job, I said, do you think you could just have a word and maybe just, and they said, no, we're not interested in that. We'll just get someone local.
Oh.
So again, that was God saying, look, man, you've made it. You've made it. You've done all right. Look, you landed a 45 grand job. Well done. He said, but it's time to go home and put it to work out.
Okay.
It was a proving ground. So yeah, I came home penniless because I went and spent it all on traveling. But I'll tell you something awesome that happened. And this is the power of sharing information, which is what other tattoo shops didn't do. And it's the reason I'm sat here now trying to share as much information as I've got. Is because this tattoo here was done in the final week of me being in Australia.
Okay.
A guy called Nick in Caloundra Tattoo Studio on the Sunshine Coast of Australia. And as he was tattooing me, I said, I think I'd want to be a tattooist, mate. Can you tell me how to do this? I said, I've had to go back home, but not to that level. He told me all the shading techniques, all the lining techniques, all the equipment that I'd need, what I was using, gave me a list. I said, good luck.
Wow.
I come home, priced it up. There's a lot more on eBay by this point.
Yeah.
I do some other websites, like supply websites. I priced it up. It was 668 quid, I think.
Okay.
And I said to my mum, look, I'm broke. I said, but I've got a plan. Can you lend me 668 quid and this is what I'm going to do? And she'd seen that what I'd achieved. I'd gone out there by myself, been through the ringer. She'd seen how much money I had given tattooists in the past. And she thought, I do want you to be on the other side of that. So I will lend it you. So I bought all the equipment and that's when I started doing it properly at home in the bedroom.
Okay.
Before I then put it on Facebook and went working in the studio. So that guy sharing information with me that day was the most transformative, pivotal moment. Yeah.
So what was different with the guy in Australia from a tattooist perspective to the guys that are here?
There's a couple of things. First of all, there's a territory thing. I'm no threat to it.
Yeah.
Leave it.
Okay.
Could be that.
Yeah.
But energetically, the guy was just so chill.
All right.
The reason I resonated with that area that I stayed, because I didn't travel, I stayed in one place. It was a really chilled area. The Sunshine Coast is where people go to retire, a lot of families, and the energy shift was completely different. Like I'm from Tameside, right? But I do find that a lot of people are in a scared scarcity mindset.
Okay.
And that's something that I try to escape from. A lot of people are complaining, negative. And, people are a product of an environment. I was doing the same thing. That's why I wanted to get out, because I wanted to change. I'm not judging anybody, but there's not many opportunities here. I'm a testament to that. I couldn't get the opportunities here, so I left and went and got them somewhere else.
And you didn't just go, to another city. You went to a complete other country.
Oh yeah, this side of the west. This was my fishbowl. This is what I thought life was.
Yeah.
So I changed it up drastically and went to the other side of the world. I met this guy, and a lot of the people there were just so much more friendly and giving and warming. I got invited to so many parties and barbecue, family barbecues of people I didn't even know. They was like, yeah, come, we'll be fine. And in fact, Lee, I remember the first time someone said, have a nice day in a shop. I got my back up. What are they after? that's the mindset that I'd gone.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I spent a lot of time in pubs and there was a lot of fighting. Football was on and everyone was at each other's throats all the time, and I was splitting up fights all the time.
Yeah.
So that's what I was in. So I went over there and I was paranoid when someone told me to have a nice day. But I came back, changed. I was like, this isn't how it has to be. So I came back full of energy, really good energy. And that Nick fella, he had that energy and he was just generous. And I said scarcity, lack mindset. He was in abundance.
Wow.
He was like, yeah, man, take it. Someone showed me, so I'll show you.
Yeah.
So I've devoted my tattoo career, even at the point where I didn't even know much, to just help. I'll help anyone, anywhere. If I've got the time and I think you're going to listen, like, that's why I'm sat here now.
Yeah. Okay. So you go and start working in a studio. And what happens next?
So it was in Reddish. It was a high street studio opposite a pub. It's a bit of a rough area. I think that pub's been level now because there was more shootings. It's just,
Right.
there's a pattern emerging, isn't it?
Yeah. So common denominator and all that.
That was a really, really good experience. I'm so grateful for it because it gave me so much perspective on what kind of studio that I want to run based on how that one was run in ways that I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
We had people coming in with like £3 saying, what can I get for this? People coming in saying, a woman brought an 18-year-old son in because he wanted made in Stockport on the back of his head. And oh God. And again, I'm not judging anybody. People do what they want. But I was like, this isn't where I want to be. And this isn't how I want to run my studio. But there's only one way to find it out. And that's by just jumping in. The experiences you have that show you how not to do it are equally as valuable as course. The experiences that work out. I've had more mistakes and failures and lessons of how not to do stuff than I have wins.
And you could argue that they're probably even more valuable.
Yeah, damn right, yeah. So I was like, I don't want to do it this way. So then I started looking around at other studios. There was some new websites popped up with job listings. Found one in Congleton that was Posh. And they were promising all these things. I thought, oh yeah, I want some nice stuff. I want some nicer clients, some better work.
So what year are we in at the moment?
I would have been like 2012.
So I feel like this is at the point where the barrier from tattoos is started to blend into your normal everyday person. Would you say that that's fairly accurate?
I'm really lucky. I got into tattooing in that sort of golden era. Like, all this, where Beckham got all this. Yeah. Let's be right. Beckham got his and everyone else wanted them.
Yeah.
They were no longer taboo. They were no longer criminal. They were no longer underground.
Yeah.
More shops were popping up. And I got into it right then. I'm really fortunate that at the time we got like that. So I went to just do a stint in Calderton and it was run completely differently to the studio.
Right.
It was run by a businessman who had no idea about tattooing or artists or managing people. I earned far less money. I was on my own, running this guy's studio and giving all my money away to this person.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, it was another experience.
He had a great deal.
He had a great deal. I didn't. And it was another experience where I thought, this is also how I don't want to run my studio. So I've got this cocktail now of how I've been treated badly as a tattoo customer over the years. How a sort of rough high street studio works and how one of these prestige one works that's run by a business owner. I was like, I'm going to put all these three things together and do entirely the opposite. I want my own. And the guy who was the manager of that Posh shop, and he would still say now, if I bumped into him in the street, he said it so many times, you open your studio because of mine. You open your studio because of mine. He still tried to take the credit, but I said, you know what, mate, you're right. He did. He pushed me over the edge.
Yeah.
And at that time, I'd put the word out. Again, Facebook was a great resource then. I'm looking for my own studio, units, Tameside. Who's got one? And my mate Nathan rang me, said, I've just been doing a job in Weir Mill, Mosley, Bottom Mosley. Used to be Cases that did fire trap clothes, if you remember.
Okay.
They did like flash sales of seconds.
Yeah.
Big mill, still down the main road. There's some rooms for rent in there. So I just went and had a look. It was a tiny room that was a triangle It was like the most awkward. It had denim all over the walls, stuck to the walls. But it was 200 quid a month cash, all in.
Right.
I said, I'll take it. So that was it. Took it. At that point, my younger brother was 9 years younger than me, was failing his first year in college. And I saw him following the same path as me. So I said to my parents, this is getting busy for me and taking off for me. I had bookings. I had enough bookings to open my own studio.
Right.
And so I said, let me take him and let me train him. He can just be a receptionist. He can just help me clean. He can do whatever. And then eventually I'll teach him how to tattoo when I've got time. And they did seem that my progression had been good and they trusted me. They said, okay, yeah, because we don't know what to do with him. So
did he have a knack for drawing as well?
Not really, no.
Okay.
He's one of them people, my brother, who he can do anything well. He's got an understanding of how stuff works. We built a rope swing this weekend.
Right.
And you should have seen the knots he was tying. I said, where did you learn how to tie the knots? He said, I don't know, I just like figure it out. He's just got a knack for figuring stuff out.
He was one of those really annoying people that, irrelevant of what it is, he can just do it well.
He understands how things work.
Yes.
So, you know, when he was like 13, he would take radios apart and put back together and stuff.
Wow, okay.
He's just like that. And so he took to it really well. He would sit drawing at the time, just on reception in between, taking bookings, taking calls and all that sort of stuff. So we had our little first studio with Birch Brothers there.
Wow.
Now, it was called Redback Tattoo Studio at the time.
Where did that come from?
I've been in Australia. The Redback Scribes over there. And the two middle letters of Redback is DB. My initials, so that makes sense. But then I tattooed a guy called Tim Malner, who was a branding expert. And he come in, he said, why have you called it Redback when you've got the words Heart for Art tattooed on your arm?
Right, okay.
That was a tattoo I designed for myself.
Okay.
Just for fun, and got someone to do it when I was at the Reddish shop. He said, do you know that's a way better name than Redback? But I said, there's a Heart for Art on Penny Meadow and Ashton. I said, I can't copy them. And he said, change it to that. I'll make your website. So I did it.
Wow.
And in a few months, Heart for Art was sure. And we were Heart for Art, which ended up becoming quite a big name.
So when I knew I was getting you on to this podcast, I've asked a few people in the area, have you ever heard of Danny Birch, tattooist? No, I don't think so. Name sounds familiar. So have you ever heard of Heart for Art? Oh, yeah. They were a big tattoo place in, was it Bridge?
Yeah, Stalybridge.
I was like, so they'd heard your studio name, but your name was kind of a bit of a ring about. It's like, yeah, he says there, you wanted a tattoo there. You had to wait 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And that just for me, I wanted you on even more when I heard that, because it's like when you came in and you spoke to me and you told me about that you failed college pretty much, and that you got told that your drawing wasn't really ever going to be anything. There was no direction for you to be able to do something with it. And then I'm hearing people say to me that your studio had a waiting list of 6 to 8 months just to get a tattoo from you. That in itself, you know, is such a compliment to you and what you had achieved, that I couldn't wait to get you on, in all fairness.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Lee. I really do. And I'm glad that, you know, the name got out. And I never put me first, which in line you would not have heard.
Which would make sense.
I put the Heart for Art first.
Yeah.
Heart for Art eventually retired my mum from Lloyd's Bank. She came and worked for us. It took 7 years there. My best friend ended up being the manager. My cousin ended up being the receptionist. My brother-in-law ended up being the barber. And my first kid, granddad, ended up doing the laser there. Heart for Art was a family tattoo studio, and I was just the person driving it.
Okay.
I was behind it, doing everything. My ethos, my values about customer service and everything was behind that name, which is why it got such a good reputation. Because the artists that worked there, I made sure that they aligned with all that. And if they didn't, they had to go. There's a lot of people that were trained. I think 11 apprentices were trained there.
Okay.
A lot of them world class.
And is that something that you specifically wanted to do and set out to do when you started that studio?
the whole heart for art journey was so organic, right, and so authentic. It was great because I didn't have a clue
Right.
what to do. I had no mission, no plan. I was in this tiny room, and before long, 2 local artists had come and said, "Can you train us up?" Oh yeah. So at one point, we had 1 massage bed, me tattooing at one end with my client sat on that, and her tattooing at that end with the client sat on that. We had to climb under the bed to get past it because it was touching both ends of the studio.
Are we still in we're not in the triangle.
We're in the triangle.
Wow, okay.
Style, yeah. But the name was getting out then.
Yeah.
And I'd only just started it. The name was getting out through Facebook, through word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it comes down to one thing, Lee, is that I treated people like I wanted to be treated as a tattoo customer.
So why not just ask you that question then about whether that was something that you specifically set out to do? And you're like, no, I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. I've got to argue the point that you did, because you knew, okay, you might not necessarily have known what you were doing or wanted to do, but what you did know is what you didn't want to do. You didn't want to say to someone that was coming into your studio and say, could you just teach me how to do this, or can I be an apprentice? And you go, no, because you knew you didn't want to say no, because you'd had all the no's. So I'd argue that you might not have known it at the time, but I think you probably did know what you were doing.
I actually think you're dead right there, mate. Yeah. It worked in our favor, but I was definitely doing everything from running away from something instead of towards it.
Right.
Absolutely. And proof of that is that when I started to learn how to do cover-ups, I literally said on my website, I will not say no. I won't say no to you.
Okay.
I said before, if there's a problem, there's a solution to it. I won't say no. So I did that. And yeah, the customer service part of it was all because I didn't want anyone to feel the way that I'd been made to feel. So I was running away from it, yeah. Yeah, you're right, man.
It's interesting.
It's really interesting. I love how organic and authentic the journey was through all that, because these people were just showing up. They must have been attracted to the energy or something like that. I don't know, because there was other studios you could have gone with. Yeah, there was loads of established places, but this place that's been open 3 months is attracting all these people who want to come and work here. And the next minute, we've had to speak to the landlord, knock a wall down and go bigger. But something that was said to me in college a lot was that you are wasting your potential. I got pulled into that room so many times and said, you are wasting your potential. And I was running away from wasting any more potential.
Yeah. It's almost, you know, you touched on something earlier when you said that you were knocking walls down and stuff like that, and then you had an empty wall and you drew on that empty wall, and then you guys came in and said, you know, great that you've done it, but why are you working it? And they were a bit annoyed the fact that you hadn't, you know, been doing the work that you were supposed to be doing. And it reminds me of a film. Have you ever seen Good Will Hunted?
Yeah.
So there's a scene in that, and it's an amazing film. But there's a scene in that where Matt Damon's character and Ben Affleck's character are talking to each other. And when you were saying this before, I don't know why, it just sort of arced back to me thinking of that scene. And in that scene, Ben Affleck's character says to Matt Damon's character that him being there is an insult to everybody else, because he had a talent to be able to go and do something greater than what everybody else at the time was doing. And when you said that about the guys when they were working on that building site, and it's no disrespect to them, but they probably didn't have anything like what you've got and that talent. So even if you didn't know it back then, it probably was a bit of an insult to them that you've got that talent and you're not doing anything with it. And admittedly, back then you didn't know how to do something with it. You had no direction. I understand that. But you almost owe it not to yourself, but to also other people around you, that if you've got an innate talent and an ability to be able to do something, you owe it to everybody else as well to be able to do something. And it just reminded me of that scene when you said that earlier. And I suppose it's exactly the same now. You've got a talent to be able to do something. When somebody comes knocking on your door and says, Danny, can you teach me how to do this? You've almost got a responsibility to go, yeah, I will. Do you know what I mean?
That's probably the greatest message that anyone can take away from this podcast. is that you've been given gifts by God and you've got a duty to maximize the potential of them.
Yeah.
And then share the information that you've learned. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it. I never felt like I wanted to keep things back. Even though in the area people were territorial, if someone's told me something, I don't own that information. I don't even own the gift I've got. God gave it me.
Yeah.
So take it, have it. And do you know what? If what I say to you somehow affects my business or my income, then I need to change and improve to keep up with you.
Yeah.
So you don't catch me. It's also a game. I've never really held things back. No, not at all.
So you mentioned there you've got, what, at least 11 apprentices that have then gone on and...
We knocked through. We made it bigger. We ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4 full-time artists.
Okay.
I was working myself into the ground because the golden tap had been turned on at this point. The name's getting out. The studio's name's getting out. I was booked up for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I was working 6 days a week, 16 hours a day. I was stacking up money. I was pushing the business. I was investing loads into the building itself. Like, I had a sofa made out of old suitcases. I had a 1900s wardrobe that you had to walk through, open and fight through coats to get into the studio like Narnia. Like, I was literally turning everything up to 11. We had a secret bookcase you had to get through to go to the toilet. We had broken clocks over the wall with murals of little mice fixing them all. We had one wall that was all smashed mirrors that had grouted in between. Like, every single place that you looked at, there was something that was just wonderful to see. And I wanted the experience. I think you're right, mate. I was running as far away from as possible from all the bad experiences and running away from someone ever saying you've wasted your potential.
But your risk there is that the further and further you run away, the more exhausted you're going to get.
That's how I ended up. I had to go back to Australia, burnt out.
Yeah.
Pissed off, went sat on the beach for a few weeks, did nothing. Because I completely burnt out. Running away from something can serve you in a way, but you need to be intentional with your actions. You need to... I could have been doing the same thing, but if I'd have done it in a way where I was like, I'm moving towards this goal, probably wouldn't have burnt out. But because I was doing it in a negative, scarcity, scared mindset still, I was running away from stuff. And if you think about that, those people that treated me like shit, those people that managed shit jobs, the people that took commission off me, they were writing my story still.
Yeah.
Whereas if you change it and move towards your own goal, you're the one who's writing your story. And that's not stressful, is it? It's challenging, but it's not stressful. But I was operating in, I've got to have it, I've got to have it, I've got to have it. I don't want to be there, I don't want to be there. I don't want to go backwards. Whereas I've learned now to shift that.
Yeah. Because you can run away from it, but you don't have to run. You can just stroll. As long as you're going away from it, as long as you're not standing still, and you can reframe that however you then choose to. I think sometimes, and it sounds like you were perhaps scared that if you slowed down that something would catch you up.
Yeah. I was terrified of being broke again.
Yeah.
Because that did not feel good. I was terrified of seeing what might happen to me if I got no vocation anymore. I'm going to go back to the drink, the drugs. There's people killing themselves now everywhere. I'm terrified of going back there. I don't want to be a labourer for 40 quid a day.
Yeah.
I had a terrible accident on the building sites and I got a paid day off for 40 quid and I got expected to come back in the day after. With a busted nose and a bad back. Like, I am terrified of going back there. Or was. I've now reframed it where I'm just grateful for where I am and where I'm going. So you asked about the apprentices. People came along and I did not want to say no to them. Provided I thought they were good enough. Yeah, fit. I didn't want to say no to anybody.
Yeah.
So even customers, I was just, yeah. I was tattooing like 3 people a day and doing consultations in the middle of it or in between them.
But that's that thing of running away again. You're running away from everybody else saying no because everybody said no to you.
I could show you a photograph of me, mate. You wouldn't believe it. My hair fell out. That's when my hair fell out. I was so stressed, like my cortisol levels were just up. I had completely fried my nervous system I obliterated it. I was a mess. I was really sick and just worked myself into a massive hole.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing and it's working. If something starts working, like you just reward it. Like there's no greater addictive feeling.
Oh, yeah.
If you put effort into something and you see results, like I'm like, let's go. Like the golden tap was on and all I needed to do was just keep getting buckets and filling it up. So artist after apprentice all just sort of came in to the point where we'd done 2 years in that little triangle room and knocked it through. And I thought, we need somewhere bigger. We need somewhere bigger now. So I started looking. And again, Facebook, has anyone got any units? Same guy who told me about the first one said, I've just been on a yard where I keep my stuff and there's one there, come on up.
Okay.
So I went out a look and we'd been there now for 13 years.
But you're not Heart for Art anymore?
No.
What happened?
So we did 13 years. It was a family tattoo studio. Me and the team dragged it through COVID, which was horrific. That was 9 months closed with normally. We dragged it through, I had cancer. We dragged it through all sorts of stuff.
You had cancer?
Yeah, I had skin cancer. Like the moment we came back from COVID, I was in there a month. Started to pick it back up and had to take 3 months off. Like we've dragged it through a lot and we've supported everybody and we've been there for each other. We've made documentaries. We've trained more people. Oh man, it was it was with the biggest studio in Europe.
And I know, I've done my research.
And it was just there in Stalybridge up my tailor's shop on an industrial yard. Wouldn't even know it was there. But it was making waves, mate. It was making waves. 11 tattooists at its height. They were all booked up solid. That's some feat, that.
It's incredible. You'd be incredibly proud of that.
And at the core of that was me losing sleep, driving the direction of it all, making sure everyone was aligned with the core values and if they weren't correcting it or getting rid of them.
So your health suffering at this point, right?
Oh, the whole time was incredibly stressful. Yeah. And like you said, I was probably doing it running away or something. So it never felt good. And then there was obviously the team behind me. My best mate was an incredible manager. He came along when I opened a second studio in Sale, which was a massive failure. Like I realized that the culture of the place that I created was organic and family led. You can't transplant that. It was not a franchisable business. But I learned that the hard way. I lost like 75 grand of my own money in that second one.
Because even though when I did my research, I asked, do you know Danny Birch? Oh, the name sounds familiar. Do you know Heart for Art? Oh yeah, everybody knows that. Because although it's not transferable in that sort of sense, or it's not franchisable, it's you that isn't franchisable. It's you, your culture, your family orientated mindset and business. You can't go do exactly the same thing in Sale because you'd have to move those people from here to there and then you've got no business here.
Well, I moved there.
Right.
I left.
But your culture isn't.
Yeah. I went there. So the culture was affected in Stalybridge.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remotely replace the people that I had there. I filled it with people just to pay the bills. And it was very, very shallow. It was a very expensive experience.
Okay.
I got a really good lesson in how quickly the government and the VAT man will just come and kick you in the ass. And that's what happened. I ended up flat broke again, nearly lost my house. Right. So 10 years into it, owning a successful and the biggest, busiest studio in Europe, I'm now on my house again. So I had to come back with my tail between my legs. In fact, before my son went to primary school, I just took him round. I inherited a bit of cash and I took him around the world for 3 months.
Right.
It's like, the the only chance I've got before he starts school. So he's got,
She's in Wales.
I was up a mountain in New Zealand and my manager rang me. He said, this has happened, and this has happened in the second studio. Bad stuff.
Yeah.
I just said, shut it, mate, I'm coming home.
Gosh.
I was in Perth on a beach, drinking a Jack Daniels in the sunset, and my son was in his underpants, knee deep in the ocean. 24 hours later, I was in Ashton renting a Luton van in the snow to go and empty that place. And what went with it was 75 grand of my own money. My car, my dream car that I'd had, Nissan GTR that I'd saved up a lot of years for. My Mini that I had in storage. And some furniture, my motorbike, basically had to sell everything just to break even because I also had no business mentor. I didn't set it up as a limited company separate to that one.
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing ever. It's just guessing, but it was what a lesson that was. I'm really, really, really thankful that happened. Because it taught me that you can't transplant culture. Don't grow too big if you can't build the systems to support it.
Yeah.
And the type of business that you've got, mate, is that. So let's maximize the potential of that. And I went back there, and that's what we did. We just turned it up. But unfortunately, like the COVID changed people's minds. That's what ultimately caused the demise of it. A lot of young tattooists who were in between customers flooding in from all over the world and the money in my bank account to pay the bills were tattooists, self-employed. That was the structure that we had it. And some of them got like 40 grand given to. There you go, there's 40 grand, stay at home. Some of them didn't. Some of them, their heads fell off and their mental health was massively affected. And the same people that left as we closed didn't show back up again. We had numerous people leave and set up their own little one-man band rooms in the back of a barber shop. The culture had been completely ripped to pieces. And it's not like we didn't try. I can safely say I tried everything. I was in there with, I'd sciatica at the time. And I'm building scaffold towers, tiling the ceilings. I'm learning how to tile on YouTube, tiling the bathrooms. At the same time as bought a video camera and I'm videoing the whole thing for YouTube and this, that, just non-stop work. I said, when this place opens, we're going to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And we did, but I didn't anticipate the change in young, self-employed, creative types.
Yeah.
And it was 2 years ago, so some 2.5, 3 years after COVID, that it was on life support. Didn't pay me a penny for 3 years.
All right.
Didn't take anything from it. It just kept its head above water.
Survived.
Sundays didn't even pay my manager.
No.
He was my best mate. Some weeks he didn't even tell me. That's how good of a guy he is. That's how it really is, that some weeks he didn't even get paid. But he didn't tell me because it would stress me out. Because he was so committed to fixing this problem as I wasn't. But it wasn't fixable. It wasn't fixable. And then 2 years ago, I had a baby. And he rang me, I think maybe the day before she went into labour, and said, 2 have just left that you've trained up. 2 have just gone travelling for a month.
God.
And the rent's just gone up by 5 grand.
Wow.
And I've found all that information out today. And if ever you needed a tap on the shoulder from God to say it's time to close this business, mate, and I had my baby on the way, it's like, we're closed then, aren't we? He said, yeah. So I went down. So I had the baby. Day after the baby came, went down, I just pulled the plug out of the wall, walked out. Yeah. It wasn't a ceremonial thing. I said, look, everyone, we're shut. We're shut. Put locks on the doors. Whoever wants a room can have one. We just rented privately. I said, but I've got a joiner coming doing that. Pick a room. I'm out. And it was just chaos. They were just all like fighting over rooms and fighting over computers. And I had to get home. Helen had a bit of a rough time with a C-section. So I'm just like, I've just got to go. That's where I learned the importance of family over business. I was like all in on this thing for so many years. And it had just bled me dry. And like I say, I don't even get the credit for it. Higher on adults. So it was worth it because it fed 16 families so many years. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the 11 apprentices. Most of them are world class now. Multi-award winning studio owners themselves. Whether they attribute it to what happened at my place or not, maybe not. I don't care. I know.
Yeah.
And the impact that place had and the fun that we all had. And the time that we all shared together, and the reputation that it got. It was worth it. It was really, really good. But there was a moment where my phone was blowing up. The artists were ringing me, panicking, and this, that, the other. I had a baby in my arms, a day or two old. Helen was on the bed, 11 out of 10 pain in a really bad way. And I started feeling my heart racing because I was being pulled in all these different directions. And all my attention just went straight at the baby and Helen. I said, nothing is more important in this life than these 2 people now. So I just turned the phone off and said, they'll all be all right. They'll all be all right. It'll be fine. And I just took 2 weeks out, paid everyone off redundancy out of my own money because it was my family members. There was no money in the business, zero. So I just paid them out of my own money over the next few months and just kept one of the rooms back for myself.
And that's where you are now.
That's where I'm now. So essentially I started tattooing by myself in a bedroom.
Now you're back in a room.
Now I'm back in a room by myself.
It's not the triangle one though.
No, what's the triangle?
The triangle room.
Oh no, it's not a triangle. It's a nice big breezy room with big windows. It's great. I share it with my brother, just me and him in there.
Would you change it? Would you change anything?
No. I got asked a question when I was rapidly growing the business in the mill, the triangle room. Father-in-law at the time, he said to me, I can see something happening here. This has got legs. It's growing really quickly, innit? I said, yeah, it is. Because I can see the amount of people coming in and out. It's crazy. He says, you've got a choice here. He said, you can stack the money under your mattress and stay small, live a good life. Or you can run it till the wheels fall off and take it as far as you want to take it. And there was no question for me whatsoever. I was like, the wheels are falling off this. Watch what I do. And when you asked me there, would you change things? That would be the pivotal moment there where I make the change. And no way would I go back. No way. The stuff that I've been through was sometimes horrendous and stressful and hard to deal with stuff, but it's added depth and weight to my character that I would not have had.
So I'm very much like that. So I remember going to a networking event and they asked us in it, if you could change anything in your business or your personal life, would you? And these people came up with, all these funny answers and I would change this or I'd change that or, no, I wouldn't have got on that bus or whatever it may be. And I said, no, I wouldn't change a thing. Would never change a thing because I'm where I am now because of every decision that I've made. And there was a guy there that said that he wishes that he hadn't left school without any qualifications. So he left school at 15, didn't have any GCSEs or anything like that. And he said, I wish I'd stuck at school. And I said to him, why? He said, because I could have gone on and got a better job and all that sort of stuff. I said, what are you talking about? You have your own business. You run your own business now. I said, if you had stayed at school and got those GCSEs, yeah, you might have got a job straight out of school. You might have got a job straight out of college. But you'd be working for somebody else, start doing stuff that you don't want to do, paying somebody else's bank balance. I said, you never know that you not completing those GCSEs was meant to be because you wouldn't be where you're at now. And it's like, oh yeah, no, yeah, perhaps not. No, perhaps I wouldn't have changed anything. None of like exactly the same. You just nailed it there.
I'm a man of faith, mate, and I realised that God's been there for me so many different times in the past, even when I didn't believe. He's had a plan for me, has a plan for me, and to think that I would like it any other way would be disrespectful and unfaithful.
Yeah.
And not grateful for it. So everything's good. Good has come from all of it. Life is not supposed to be easy.
No.
Anyone who wants to start a business or go through a meaningful life, have kids, have a good relationship, have a good business, have a good body, right? Have a good health. It's going to be really hard because it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because it's not supposed to be easy.
It'd be boring if everything was easy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, nothing's easy though.
No.
Having a terrible body and no business and a bad relationship and not having kids or leaving a legacy is also terrible.
Yeah.
So I'd rather choose challenges, but in a good direction. But I don't know why anyone thinks that it's going to be easy. Anything is. Life's, we'll say hard. It's challenging.
It's challenging.
Yeah. And it's only stressful if you frame it as stress.
Yeah.
This is a challenge. Like I've said a few times in this podcast, it's a problem, but there's a solution to it.
And it is about, I think we've used that phrase quite a lot today, where we've said it just needs reframing. Everything just needs reframing. If you can reframe it, then you can figure out what you need to do moving forward.
Yeah. The simple reframe when something's happened, whether it's that guy who didn't get the grades at school or whether it's me losing everything, of worth financially with that business closure. What good's come of this? Or if you're in the thick of it and your head's up your ass, what good is coming of this? Who am I becoming through this? Someone who is of more value than the person I was before.
Yeah.
And now I'm more valuable to my industry and more valuable to other people around me. And I'm going to be able to share that value with people, maybe warn them so they don't have to go through it. Or maybe go on some podcasts and tell some stories.
So Danny Birch tattooing, what does that look like for you now moving forward? Are you happy where you're at? You don't want to grow again? Are you tempted to?
I'm never not growing, mate, but I'm not running away from anything anymore.
Okay.
I know quite clearly what I want, but I'm moving towards it. You said before, at a steady pace.
Yeah.
I'm not forcing anything anymore. I used to force and fight and scared and scarcity, and that was running away from stuff. And it never served me very well because as a family man now, I'm also a mentor to like a dad's community.
Okay.
I advocate for when you walk in the house, you bring peace in with you. I didn't bring peace into my house for a decade because I was running away from stuff and I was stressed out. Successful. No, the business, was doing well, but I wasn't. But now, Danny Birch Tattoo is me tattooing regular people all day, every day, with a really good energy exchange on the day.
Yeah.
A really good, peaceful experience that they enjoy, serving them at the highest level I possibly can, giving them the best experience, not because I didn't get it, but because it's what they deserve. And that's what I want to do. God's given me these gifts to serve these people, and I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. And if things change slightly, someone cancels, no problem. Someone's in pain and we need to stop, it's not a problem. Let's just reschedule, it's fine. It's just money. I've got enough for everything I need. Don't worry about it. But I have got ambition, and I do want something that I don't have yet. And
What's that?
Is I've moved into a home first.
Okay.
Into the countryside because I just love the countryside too much. And I got a bit sick of driving from Duckingfield to countryside to eat my dinner in the back of the van. So I've just put myself there, right? I would like a big industrial unit that I could turn into what's called a third space for people.
Okay, tell me what that is.
Third space was ordinarily and historically a pub for people.
Right.
For men, wasn't it? So we go to work, we go home, and then we go to the pub.
Yeah.
That's the third space. The pubs have gone away. I don't even drink anymore, so I don't want to go to a pub. And a lot of people don't want to be getting pissed in the week anymore. They've not got the money for it. They don't feel great doing it anymore. There's a lot more health conscious sort of society these days. So I want to create a third space in an industrial unit that's got classic car and bike culture, a couple of nice cars in there, some bikes cleaned up, some big comfy sofas, a coffee area, a classroom for doing things like this, a podcast studio or mentor. People can rent it out to do a bit of coaching, possibly a little gym area, my tattoo room in the back, a barber shop in there. Basically a place where people can just come and just soak up the good energy of the environment. I want kids running around in there. I want dogs running around in there. People can come for a coffee. They can sit and co-work if they want. They can just hang around. Can run events in there.
Where do you want that?
I want that where I live, yeah. Sorry, this is a Tameside business podcast, isn't it?
But you're from here. You're from here.
I'm from here, and I commute back here. My family's based
Yeah.
I'm proud of it. It's part of my story. I love it. But I've just moved up there purely because the roads are good for driving up there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of greenery. I would like to walk to work if possible because I sit down a lot.
Yeah.
I sit down a lot. I've got a 40-minute commute in the car, sat down, but got a 7-hour day, sat down, and I've commute back home. So it'd be nice to walk to work. I just want to create somewhere that is potentially a forever project. That'd be nice. The journey's been a roller coaster. It'd be nice to have something that now I say, this is it.
Why?
Because I feel like that's an accumulation of all the experiences that I've had and all the value that I've got. I'd like to put under one roof so that I can serve other people with it. So this place I'm dreaming of is more for other people than it is me.
Oh, 100%.
Everything that I do now is in love for other people. Whether I go home and pull up into my family whether I pour love into myself so that I can be better to serve my family and my customers, whether I open this third space that other people can come in and join, and I'm just there in the back doing my thing. I just want to create this space and this experience for other people to come and thrive.
And have you got plans to start that soon?
I've got a vision in my mind and I'm moving towards it all the time. I put the word out to anyone I'm talking about. I'm speaking about it now. I'm like visualizing it. I'm manifesting it. I haven't got the money to make that, but if it's meant to be for me, does it whatever.
With everything that you've already told me about yourself, Danny, and sat here listening to you for however long we've just been sat here. I don't even know how long we've been sat here. I've been that engrossed in what you're telling me.
We really need a part 2.
Possibly.
Yes.
But if I genuinely believe wholeheartedly that if you've got that vision and you've got that plan and you set your sights on it, you'll absolutely do it. And it sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And you should be incredibly proud of what you've already accomplished and what you still want to do.
Yeah, I appreciate it, mate. And I rarely stop to think about it, but maybe I should, just to
Maybe you should
detox my mind a little bit of and just think, forward. I've taken something away from this today. It's that always be thinking about my goals and moving forward towards things instead of away from stuff.
Yeah.
Never run away from things, because those experiences and those people that have maybe hurt you or that have not gone very well, they're still writing your story, and the approaching a personal project like this third space that I want to create I don't want them in it.
Yeah.
I don't want them voices. I don't want them experiences in it. I want it to just be purely out of future potential.
But that's why you get to create something like that. And then when you're in there, you get to close the door to all of that.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the safe space.
Yeah. I picture myself walking in there in the morning, opening the doors and welcoming people through the doors, doing the tattoo, chatting to people in the afternoon, stroking some dogs, Mrs. making some coffees for people, kids running about, homeschooled. Be nice. I can see it. And the one thing I'd like to leave everybody with, something that you mentioned before, it's like, listen, you've all got a God-given natural gift and ability to do something that you would probably do for free if you could.
Yeah.
Find out what it is, because it's your purpose. Nurture it, develop it, get really good at it, figure out how to monetize it so that it can sustain a life of things that you need and not just one. Because don't let blowing money on Nissan GTRs and loads of motorbikes become the deciding factor of, how you run things. What do you need in life, and can the thing that you've been born with sustain that if you turn into a profession?
And if you can't figure it out, try and reframe it.
Always reframe stuff. Everything is happening for you. What good can come of bad situations? There's always something.
Yeah.
There's always more good than bad coming of something, unless you've just lost somebody. But everyone's got massive potential and massive value to add, everybody to somebody.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Wholeheartedly, I would agree with that. Danny, is there anything that we've not touched on that you want to touch on?
If you want a tattoo from me, I'm still in Stalybridge for now. So let's keep the business in Tameside for now.
So you're going to send me all of your socials and all that sort of stuff, and I put them all into the description.
They're easy to find. It's just Danny Birch Tattoo, Instagram, DannyBirchTattoo.com website. Don't be put off by the fact I've only got 1,600 followers, because my previous account was just dead and muddy, so I just started again. But I couldn't give a shit about followers.
My
page.
Like I say, everybody knows who half are. So if you just reference that.
Maybe I need to change my bio.
Maybe. Formally half. Danny, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Cheers, Danny.